Right friends, welcome back to English comprehension vocabulary, and in view of the announcement of schedule for IBPS bank PO interviews, we are planning to start IBPS bank PO interview sessions in both English and Hindi. English will be at 12 noon and Hindi will be at 1 p.m. So, 12 o'clock will be in English, 1 o'clock in Hindi. We are planning to start within 2-3 days this week itself. So, you will have bank PO interview sessions at 12 o'clock in English, 1 o'clock in Hindi, and during this period this comprehension and vocabulary will not be there. This will be continued once your interview sessions are over. One promo will be there in this connection, and I would like to tell you, all of you, please view all the banking capsules, whether it is a lecture, question and answer, previous interview modules, it does not matter. Please view all the capsules, around 70-75 capsules are there. So, please view all of them so that you will have total perspective of the banking, and I will tackle the questions pertaining to recent developments in banking, especially during the second half of 2016. So, हिंदी में भी करने के लिए हम लोग कोशिश कर रहे हैं. हिंदी में 1 बजे इंटरव्यू सेशंस स्टार्ट करने के लिए कोशिश है. हिंदी बात करने में थोड़ा सा दिक्कत है, बट मेरा परसेप्शन ये है, हिंदी में सेशन करने से आपके पास रीच होने में कोई तकलीफ नहीं होना चाहिए, एंड विथ दैट इम्प्रेशन वी आर स्टार्टिंग दिस हिंदी मॉड्यूल्स ऑल्सो एट 1 o'clock. So, 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock within 2-3 days, the date will be announced today itself. So, till then please join for this comprehension and vocabulary, and I once again reiterate, if you follow this comprehension vocabulary capsule for 6 months, you will get a minimum 5 to 10 marks plus in English in any exam, minimum 5 to 10 marks plus, right. So, please follow. You may feel it, you may find it a little bit difficulty in the initial stages, but once you find the beauty of English language, then you may not leave this, right. So, let us look at this. Today we are going to deliberate on the Economic Times article, and I would like to remind that this discussion will be useful for any student, whatever exam he writes. It is not exclusively limited to bank PO. This is not limited at all. This is useful to any student, whatever the exam you are writing, but this is one of the best ways of improving your vocabulary, right. So, too dependent on tax revenues from oil. So, this is discussion on the Economic Times editorial of 12th January 2017. So, Economic Times editorial, too dependent on tax revenues from oil. So, the government is too much dependent on tax revenues from oil. So, tomorrow we are going to deliberate on interest rates. Urjit Patel is bang on. This is 13th January editorial of the Economic Times. Tomorrow we are going to deliberate on this, and let us look at this, too dependent on tax revenues from oil, and this is the article, and please look at the starting point. The reported buoyancy in indirect taxes may have much to do with raising oil prices. Here the sentence is, the reported buoyancy in indirect taxes. And before understanding this sentence, you should have clear idea about what are direct taxes, what are indirect taxes. Direct taxes means personal income tax. When I am earning rupees 10 lakhs, I am required to pay some income tax to the government. So, that is personal income tax. Then corporation tax, the companies like L&T, Mahindra and Mahindra, GMR, all these are required to pay taxes on their profits, that is corporation tax. And out of all the taxes, corporation tax is the highest. Please do not forget, from examination perspective. Second point is, personal income tax in our country is progressive in nature. Progressive means, if your income is more, you are required to pay more percentage of tax. If your income is less, you are required to pay less percentage of tax. If your income is much below 2,50,000, you are not required to pay tax. So, that is the meaning of progressive. Then indirect taxes, I have given 2 examples only. There are other examples also, I have not taken them. customs duty, excise duty, these are examples of indirect taxes. The most important aspect with regard to indirect taxes is two important things. One is they are regressive in nature. Regressive means if indirect taxes are more, all the people will be affected badly, right from poor man right up to rich man, they will be affected uniformly. If I am purchasing a synthol soap, the hidden taxes on it is the same whether I purchase, whether any poor man purchases, any rich man purchases. So, that is why they are called regressive in nature. The second point is they will have cascading effect. Cascading effect means tax on tax. If one product is taxed, then it will have further effect on the other products. So, this is important terminology, please do not forget regressive, progressive, cascading. When you are looking at taxes, personal income tax is progressive, indirect taxes are regressive. The second point is indirect taxes, some of the indirect taxes will have cascading effect, right. So, having learned this, let us look at the reported buoyancy. What is meant by buoyancy? Buoyancy means not only raising and staying at that level, that is buoyancy. The reported buoyancy in indirect taxes may have much to do with rising oil prices. So, it is much to do, that is because of rising oil prices only taxes increased, that is the meaning. The finance minister has stated that soaring consumption taxes by 25%, these are called consumption taxes, the taxes imposed on consumption goods. Soaring consumption taxes by 25%, soaring means, please look into this, soaring I will explain you, soaring means this is increasing quickly. When something is increased quickly, you can say soaring. If something is increased 2%, 3%, you cannot say soaring. This word soaring is to be used when increase is quick. So, here the increase is 25%. Please look into this. The increase is 25%. That is why he used soaring. So, the finance minister has stated that soaring the consumption taxes by 25% during the 9 months April-December cannot imply economic slowdown. Cannot imply economic slowdown. The finance minister's statement is taxes increased 25%. So, this indicates, this implies, what is the meaning of imply? Imply means indirect inference. It indirectly indicates that there cannot be economic slowdown. People are talking about economic slowdown after demonetization. There cannot be economic slowdown because 25% soaring increase, that means fast increase is soaring, but it is possible, comma, but it is possible, that means that is the continuation of finance minister's statement. But it is possible that higher taxes on petroleum products have revved up the overall figure, right, revved up. We will see this meaning, and let us look at imply. Imply means indirect inference, as I have already told you. So, imply, to communicate an idea or feeling without saying it directly. Without saying directly, it implies. So, to communicate an idea just with signs or maybe with words, if some idea is communicated, that means it is saying, it is implying. Suppose let us take an example. A poor man asked a rich man rupees 2000. A poor man asked a rich man rupees 2000, but rich man said that I do not have money. So, what it implies? It implies that rich man is not interested in borrowing money, not interested in lending money, sorry. The rich man is not interested in lending money to the poor borrower, right. So, it is implied. Then revved up. So, what is revved up? Revved up means is the situation to make something more active. It is already active, you have to make something more active. Let us take Reliance Jio. Reliance Jio is quite aggressive. So, Reliance Jio is getting revved up for the launch of new products. So, it is becoming more and more active. So, revved up. Revved up means becoming more and more active. So, what is Finance Minister's statement? Finance Minister's statement is 25% increase in the taxes implies cannot imply economic slowdown, but it is possible that the petroleum taxes have made the overall figure more active or made the overall figure much higher, revved up. That gives that meaning, right? I hope this is Finance Minister's statement. There cannot be economic slowdown because taxes increased by 25%. So, if someone says there is economic slowdown, I do not agree. And if someone says petroleum products is the reason, then I will tell you that petroleum products have revved up the situation. That is in the words of Finance Minister. It is not my opinion, it is Finance Minister's opinion, right? Let us move on to the next paragraph. The next paragraph is true. Central excise duty collections have soared a huge 31% in December alone. Central excise duty. What is excise duty? Excise duty is the duty imposed on the manufacturing of products. So, excise duty collections have soared. Again he used soared because here the figure is 32%. If it is 2%, 3%, he cannot use soared. So, that central excise duty collections have soared a huge 32% in December alone. It seems to suggest smart increase in output generally. It seems to suggest. Let us look at this. Seems to means judged to be. It may not be correct, but it is judged to be, it is perceived to be. The officer who became an IAS officer and he looks somewhat simple. So, he seems to be a simple person. If the chief minister looks simple, if the prime minister looks simple, then he seems to be a simple person. That means he is perceived, he is judged as a simple person. So, that is the meaning of seems to be. So, he is judged to be a simple person. Next one is the boy seemed tired. He played in the hot sun. Subsequently, the boy seemed tired. So, look at the sentence. It seems to suggest smart increase in output generally. So, smart increase in output generally. So, output is increased. It seems to suggest, not reality. It seems to suggest that there is a smart increase. What is the meaning of smart? There are several meanings. Intelligent and a boy who is able to think quickly, what we call, he is a smart guy, smart boy. At the same time, the girl looks smart, and at the same time, the actual meaning of smart is realistic and measurable. So, in this present context, he used the term. It seems to suggest smart increase in output generally. That means economic growth is there. Output means economic growth. That means GDP. So, it seems to suggest a smart increase in output generally. Note, however, why do we use however? However, please look into this. However, sorry, somehow missed. So, let us see. Note, however, that the prices of imported crude did double last year. The prices of, so he is telling some point which is not supporting that. In general, it seems to suggest smart increase in output generally, but however, that means he is telling some other information which is quite contrary to the first information. However, that the prices of imported crude did double last year. However, the prices of imported crude prices increased from around $30 per barrel to around $50 to $55 per barrel. So, here this prices of imported crude did double last year, albeit from a low base. So, this albeit, this is very difficult to use this. Please look into this. I have taken one example, albeit. This laptop looks amazing. This laptop looks amazing, albeit costly. That means, although despite of the fact, this, please careful, the another example I have given, Bengaluru is a good city, albeit crowded, despite the fact that Bangalore is crowded, but it is a good city. Despite the fact that the laptop is costly, but it is amazing. So, under the circumstances, this word is to be used. So, albeit means although, despite the fact that, right. So, let us go back to the passage. The passage here is, this is, it seems to suggest a smart increase in output generally. Note, however, that the prices of imported crude did double last year. Last year, crude prices doubled last year. That means around 25 to 30 to 50 to $55 per barrel, albeit from a low base. Right? The fact is from a low base. That means the base was low, 25 to 50. Doubled from 25 to 50 is different from doubling from 100 to 200. So, here initially the base was quite low. So, to indicate that hidden fact, he used this albeit, right. So, here note, however, that the prices of imported crude did double last year, albeit from a low base, and given ad valorem duties. What is meant by ad valorem duties? Ad valorem duties means depending on the value. Ad valorem, they are not fixed. Depending on the value, the taxes on petroleum products are based on the price of product. If you look at petrol or diesel, the taxes are ad valorem, depending on the value. They are not fixed. So, when the taxes are depending on the value, when the price of diesel per liter increases from rupees 30 to rupees 50, and the price of diesel increases from rupees 30 to rupees 50, naturally taxes will also increase. Because of the reason, this ad valorem taxes. Ad valorem taxes means taxes based on the price of the product or service. Please do not forget. Right. Let us come back to the discussion. This is talking about, and given ad valorem duties like customs and excise, the revision would have led to a significant surge in tax revenues. The point here is the surge in tax revenues, that means a soaring increase in tax revenues, or due to the fact that petroleum products are charged ad valorem. That means based on the value. As the petroleum products price increased from low to high during the current financial year, naturally the taxes are surged. Right. Next point is, figures available for the first half of 2016-17 with the petroleum planning and analysis cell show that the indirect oil taxes have surged by over 20% to the center. So, petroleum prices surged by 20%. Then it is also a fact that retail taxes on petroleum products add up to about 40% of total central indirect tax collections. So, if you look at total indirect tax collections, this petroleum products taxes alone constitutes 40%. Right. Having learned this, let us move on. The next sentence, please look at it. So, it cannot be gainsaid. This word is very important, sometimes misleading also. Several people fail to understand this. It is neither gain nor said. Gain meaning is different, said meaning is different. But gainsay or gainsaid has got entirely different meaning. Please be conscious about this. So, it cannot be gainsaid that oil has contributed heavily to the seeming surge in indirect taxes. So, here what is the meaning here? What is meant by gainsaid? Gainsaid means doubt. Here I will tell you one example. Gainsay, let us look at it. Gainsay means to declare to be untrue or invalid, to contradict or deny, to accept something as a truth, right? To refuse to accept something as truth, to refuse to accept something as truth. So, the situation where we are not accepting it as a truth, where we are doubting, where we feel that it is untrue, where we feel that it is invalid, the meaning of gainsay is this. Please look at this example. It is unwise on your part. It is unwise on your part to gainsay your doctor's prescription. That means to doubt your doctor's prescription and stop using medicines. Doctor has given prescription. Doctor's prescription indicates certain medicines to be used, but the patient is saying that doctor's prescription is not correct. I doubt doctor's prescription. I feel that doctor's prescription is untrue. Doctor's prescription is invalid. Doctor's prescription, I am denying it. So, there you have to use gainsay. The sentence, please understand this sentence, that gainsaid will be clear to you. It is unwise on your part to gainsay your doctor's prescription. That means it is unwise on your part to doubt doctor's prescription and to feel doctor's prescription as untrue, and subsequently don't use medicines if you feel that. If you feel that it is untrue, and subsequently if you stop using medicines, then you will be the loser. So, the sentence meaning, please understand here. Let us come back. So, it cannot be doubted. It cannot be doubted. That means the fact is oil has contributed heavily to the seeming surge in indirect taxes. So, it cannot be doubted. It cannot be written as untrue, right? It cannot be denied that oil has contributed heavily to the seeming surge in indirect taxes. Oil has contributed heavily to the seeming surge in indirect taxes. That is a fact. It cannot be doubted. It cannot be denied. So, with that in mind, this gainsaid is used. However, here look at however, please see here the meaning of however. Here the bill is unlikely to be passed in Parliament. All of you are familiar with Parliament whitewash. The bill is unlikely to be passed, however worthy it is, to whatever degree, to whatever amount that is worthy, but it is unlikely to be passed, right? However is to be used under those circumstances. The bill is unlikely to be passed, however worthy it is. That means that is worthy of passing, but the Parliament is not functioning properly. So, the bill is unlikely to be passed, however worthy it is. So, here also please come back. However, we need to modernize our indirect tax structure. Here it is undeniable fact that oil has contributed heavily to the seeming surge in indirect taxes. However, now the point to note is we do need to modernize our indirect tax structure, broaden the tax base. Broaden the tax base means tax base is to be increased. More and more tax base, more and more organizations, more and more individuals should come under tax base and not be too much disproportionately dependent on petroleum products for revenue. Not be too much disproportionately dependent. We are dependent too much on petroleum products, right? So, here disproportionately dependent on petroleum products should be avoided. Our petroleum products is constituting around 40% of our indirect tax collections, and that should be avoided, right? And at the same time, we need to modernize our indirect tax structure, broaden the tax base. That is why he used however. He want to put forth further points which are a little contrary to the previous statement. That is why he used however. Then the cascading nature of taxes on oil products with the tax on taxed items par for the course in petroleum. Two important words. The cascading nature of taxes on oil products with the tax on taxed items par for the course in petroleum. So, here the cascading nature, I will explain you one by one. Here the cascading nature. Cascading means if diesel price is increased, then diesel is used by diesel trains, then the charges will increase, freight charges will increase, goods transportation charges will increase, and subsequently service charges will increase, because service charge is based on charge, 15% service charge is there. So, like that, if you take any product, if diesel charges are increased, the industries which are dependent on diesel will increase their products, and again tax will be there on them. So, it will lead to tax on tax or cascading effect. Cascading effect means tax on tax, effect on effect. If one effect is there, it will have multiple effects, that is cascading. So, when diesel prices are increased, then what will happen? The industries which are dependent on diesel have to increase the price of their products. If the price of the products is increased, then ultimately excise duty on those products will also increase, like that. And similarly, when railway transportation is increased, service charge will increase. So, one tax will have adverse effect on other aspects, that is cascading effect, right. So, here one important point what he noted is the cascading nature of taxes on oil products. The taxes on oil products are cascading because this oil is used as the primary requirement for several other activities. That is why it will have cascading nature. With tax on taxed items, as I have already told you, par the course in petroleum. What is meant by par the course? I will tell one classic example, you will understand. Classic example is, in a village, one school is there, and it is almost a norm to go late to the school. The school timings is 9 o'clock, but the teacher comes at 9:30. Let us examine. It is only as an example. If you take something as an example like this, when the school is at 9 o'clock, if daily teacher is coming at 9:30, daily, and here we say it is a par for the course that she is late to the school. It is par for the course that he is late to the office. That means it is accepted norm. It is taken as the norm, right? It is accepted standard, but it is not good. Please understand, when we use this, when something is accepted norm, but at the same time it is not good, under those circumstances only we have to use it is par for the course that she is late to the school. It is par for the course that he is late to the office. So, here in what context this word is used? Here the context is the cascading nature of taxes on oil products with the tax on taxed items par the course in petroleum. It is not good, but it is the practice. So, as I have already told you, the example of school, the example of office, here also petroleum products taxes becomes cascading because they become tax on tax, and so far till date it is the actual practice. It is the norm in our country. It is the standard practice, whether it is UPA government or NDA government. So, it is par for the course in petroleum. For petroleum, it is par for the course, that means it is accepted norm, but it is not for the good. Remember, when something is for good, then do not use this. When something is for not good, then only use this. Only adds to the surge in tax revenue. Naturally, tax revenues will increase, right? Next point. Let us look at the next one. We have discussed about cascading, par for the course, then surge. Surge means profits of TCS surged in recent times. Large increase. It is not 2%, 3%. Soaring we used. Soaring we used to indicate steep increase. And similarly, surge means when there is a sudden increase in the profits. So, TCS, the profits of TCS have surged in recent times. So, the petroleum taxes are the main reasons for surge in taxes, or you can say because of all these things the taxes surged. Then there is a paradigm shift. What is paradigm shift? Paradigm shift is basically moving away from the existing practices is paradigm shift. There is a paradigm shift away from oil and fossil fuels. And in the transport sector, non-oil fueled vehicles seem likely to become commonplace much sooner than expected earlier. Previously, we expected that will take place after 3 years, 4 years, but much sooner than expected. It may take place much earlier. Previously, we thought it may take place after 5 years, 10 years, but now non-oil fueled vehicles is going to be the norm much sooner than expected earlier. So, it is going to become a reality. Electric vehicles are coming, right? And so many non-conventional sources of energy may power the vehicles in future. Several non-conventional sources of energy may fuel the vehicles in future. So, there is a paradigm shift when somebody is using diesel and subsequently he purchased a petrol car, and if he is shifting from diesel to petrol, you cannot use paradigm. Paradigm means total break away from something. So, please look into this picture. Paradigm shift. Previously, before demonetization, we are using cash, everywhere cash. After demonetization, we are using plastic cards, debit cards, credit cards. So, you can say there is a paradigm shift in the usage. There is a paradigm shift in the people's behavior when purchasing something. So, in the people's behavior, there is a paradigm shift. Previously, if somebody was using 500 rupee notes, subsequently, if he is using rupees 2000 notes, you cannot say paradigm shift. It is not a paradigm shift. And if previously, if somebody was using some smaller denomination notes and subsequently he started using bigger denomination notes, you cannot say paradigm shift. You can only say when there is total shift away from the conventional models. India is now shifting towards solar energy. It is a paradigm shift from fossil fuels. So, please understand when to use this word paradigm. So, there is a paradigm shift away from oil and fossil fuels, and in the transport sector, non-oil fuel vehicles seem likely to become commonplace much sooner than expected earlier. Hence, the need to rationalize the taxes on oil products in a time-bound manner. Rationalize. What is meant by rationalization? Rationalization means making more effective. We frequently use this word rationalization. That means to make a company more and more effective, right? Usually combining or stopping particular activities, companies' activities are to be rationalized. Unproductive expenditure is to be reduced. So, if you look at subsidies, food subsidy, LPG subsidy, fertilizer subsidy, please do not forget, Indian subsidies almost 50% has gone to food nowadays. So, 50% of government of India's subsidy is going to food, followed by fertilizer, followed by LPG. Now, these subsidies are to be rationalized. That means they should be made with optimum utilization. The needy persons should get subsidies and the rich persons should not get subsidies. That is the meaning of rationalization. So, rationalization of subsidies is the need of the hour, and here in the context which it is used, hence the need to rationalize the taxes on oil products in a time bound fashion. Do not depend too much on oil products, because there is already paradigm shift taking away from this fossil fuel sector, and at the same time you do not depend too much on oil products. You have to rationalize the taxes on oil products. Besides, we need to have goods and services tax for petro products, so as to boost efficiency in transport and logistics. And now these petro products are almost going to be kept out of goods and services tax initially, and the suggestion is besides. So, what more needs to be done? He is telling besides, we need to have goods and services tax for petro products so as to boost efficiency in transport and logistics. Top-up cesses might be warranted on account of pollution, greenhouse gas emissions. Top-up cesses, some top-up cesses are required over and above the rationalization of taxes. Some top-up cess, top-up, I need not tell the meaning of top-up, all of you are using mobile phones. Top up means over and above, that means you have already had mobile. So, you want to top up with 10 rupees, 20 rupees. Similarly, rationalize the tax structure. So, something is to be imposed because to discourage the use of petroleum products, that is top up cesses might be warranted, might be required, might be justified on account of pollution greenhouse gas emissions, because they emit pollutants. That is why some top up cesses to discourage them is required. Do not depend too much on oil, first thing. Then petroleum products usage is going to have paradigm shift in future towards towards renewable sources of energy. And the next important aspect is rationalize the taxes, and if required top up cesses please impose. So, this is all about this, and tomorrow we will discuss about on interest rates. Urjit Patel is bang on. This is one important editorial of 13th January in the Economic Times. So, please do join for comprehension tomorrow, and have a nice day, and please do join tomorrow. Have a nice day. Thank you.